You know that feeling when you want to cry, but you don't know the reason? When you're feeling sad and like everything in life is about to go wrong for simply no reason at all? Well, that is your subconscious, squirming in your head like a baby in need. That is purely dominant of your emotions and the strongest part of your brain, the majority of your brain, which is the subconscious. All this talk, and I've been talking about the subconscious, and the name of the podcast is inspired in honoring the subconscious mind. Heck, the name of the whole entire podcast is The Subconscious Mind, Inside the Mind's Archive. But we've never really sat and talked about the undiscovered ocean of the subconscious mind and the mysterious seeds of your brain. Or should I say, dived. In this episode, we will intellectualize what the subconscious is, where it is, why it's so strong in its primitive nature, how it's connected to the universe, what the different parts of the brain are, their functions, the anatomy of the brain, the psychology of the subconscious, and the lastly how we can connect to our subconscious to build a bridge and to connect to the universe, emitting our deepest goals and desires and learning to utilize the subconscious to manifest peace and success in your life. One day I woke up, but I woke up with a dream. You see, in my dream, I had been scrolling on my phone. And specifically, I was scrolling on those addicting reels on Instagram that just have you sucked in for 3 hours. And you just open it and woof, 3 hours are gone. So I was on Instagram, but I was unwillingly scrolling. Something about me did not want to be there, and I was forcing myself to scroll. And in that dream, I was eating grapefruit. And so I remember I remember the taste of the grapefruit. I remember the fragrance of it. I remember so dearly how it felt. And so the next day I woke up and I searched up what does it mean to dream about grapefruit? Can you guess what happened? Turns out the website said that if you dream of grapefruit, this means that you're wasting your energy on something or someone that is not worth your time or that has no feedback or nothing in return for yourself. It's something that you hate and love, bittersweet, like grapefruit, and something that's bothering you and something that you're wasting your energy on. My subconscious was trying to tell me that I'm wasting my time to these bad habits by indicating and by symbolizing grapefruit. Another day, I woke up and I did my daily routine of shower, brush, dress, and I found myself thinking. I found myself nagging. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with this? Then I completely broke down and sobbed so hard I could barely breathe. The sadness hit me the hardest it had ever been, and I knew I never experienced something slightly like this before. And this was serious. But then when my mom came sorry, I tripped over my words, to comfort me and she asked me why I was crying, I was out of words. I thought I was the furthest I've ever been and sunk in a hole of misery, but I didn't even know why I was crying. I wasn't even able to explain or tell anyone that I was crying or that I felt sad for no reason at all whatsoever. Can you guess why? Yep, you guessed it again. The subconscious. The subconscious is the stronger older brother of the conscious. Think of it like this. You know how an older brother drags the little brother around? Well, not brother, sibling. Or how the older sibling is always in control and they determine and depict what is happening? They overthink or they're the ones who determine what happens. They are the dictating ones. Everything is dictated by the older siblings. And how the younger sibling just follows it around? Well, think of it like this. The subconscious is the older sibling and the conscious is the younger sibling. Because the subconscious is much older. Now, why is the subconscious strong, you ask? That's because it's older and it has experienced more. I know I sound like your parent, but seriously? Can you remember anything that happened before the age of 4? That's because the moment from when you are born to the age where you turn around 3 to 4 is the stage in your life when you start to develop consciousness. Now, what does this mean? This means that from since you are born until you are 3 to 4, your subconscious mind is 4 years older, 4 years wiser, 4 years of more experience than your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind has more skill and it's more sharpened. Until now, your subconscious mind has had 4 years of experience and practice ahead of your conscious mind. It has a syringe of and it has stronger synapses and neural connections. And it functions much more complex and faster than the conscious. It's much older and wiser because it has an advantage and because it's been around for longer. That's why babies can only communicate by crying or laughing or smiling. That's why they can only express themselves by non-verbal emotions or by verbal emotions when they're crying. They're only running on their subconscious. They're only thinking with their subconscious, and that's why they can only communicate their need, and that's why their need is manifested and translated through emotions. Well, that older brother that I was talking about is the subconscious, a psychological term that means below the conscious mind. It refers to a domain of experiences that is hidden from our awareness but nonetheless affects our behaviors, our personalities, by manifesting in our habits, emotions, reactions, desires, fears, and attachment. Subconscious is sometimes used interchangeably with the term unconscious, a concept popularized but not invented by Sigmund Freud, one of the founders of modern psychology. In Freud's theory, the unconscious is a kind of storehouse of instincts, urges, desires, and memories that are beyond the range of our waking awareness. It is common to compare the subconscious to a submerged portion of iceberg, and that's one of the most analogies that are compared to the subconscious. That which we can see, the iceberg is the aspect of our personality, and the tip of the iceberg is the present waking life, our consciousness. Like the iceberg, however, so much exists below the surface that informs the character of what appears above. So much of it remains hidden from below our awareness, influencing our character and personality. The subconscious is also sometimes described as a shadow, a term developed by Carl Jung, one of Freud's proteges, because it's characterized by one's feelings, urges, and desires that one cannot immediately identify with. These urges become disfavored early in the years of childhood, when our sensitive individuality is still being constructed. Because they are taboo, perhaps in our society or in our family unit, or don't fit in the idealized picture we have projected for ourselves. This can be a dream or a goal turned down because of doubt. As a result of these desires and hidden feelings, and aspirations become repressed and fated to reside in the hidden world of the subconscious, where they are largely unknown to us, until they become all bottled up and start to leak out or burst out of us, manifested through irrational actions, dreams, like in my case, unreasonable strong emotions, repressed trauma, taking it out on others, and to be manifested in habits, lifestyles, and or mindsets that can alter your way of life, your quality of life, and even how close or how far you get to come to your goals in life. We can also take the time to investigate the repressed emotions through forms of therapeutic practices. Practices like dream work, hypnosis, meditation, visualization, and shamanoloking. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Techniques are all effective ways in which we can bring the murky underworld of the subconscious to light, connecting with it, and utilizing it to better connect and work with ourselves. Because the subconscious is often includes unresolved aspects of our personality, these aspects can help us integrate these shadowy parts of ourselves so that we can live the more fulfilled and quantumous life. Now, let's dive deeper into the subconscious. And when I mean deep, I mean real deep. The subconscious mind is an incredibly complex and powerful machine. It's responsible for receiving and processing information from our surrounding environment and then storing that information for then later consciously to be referenced and utilized to our experience. Everything you know is stored in this part of the brain, from your learned behaviors to all your past experiences. As I've mentioned many times, the subconscious is kind of like a book of you. It keeps tracks of everything that happened in your life, kind of like a biography, specifically made for you, stored in your brain. Every thought you think and every emotion you feel, and it's been doing this since the day you are born. It's like your own personal data bank, which stores everything that makes you individually unique. It's the mother of originality, such as your beliefs, skills, hobbies, and general knowledge. It is essentially what makes you you. It's you, essentially. The world as you know it is but a projection of your subconscious mind. It is your version of reality. It is your personal perspective, and it is why most people think the world revolves around them. But how does this part of your mind work? How does it perform any task without the conscious guidance? We could talk about Freud's iceberg analogy for days on end, and we have, but it still offers an extremely limited and vague perspective of such a complicated concept. In this episode, I want to examine the subconscious mind by utilizing the analogy of modern day computer technology. Modern day computers and our subconscious mind have so much in common that it provides us a tremendous way to expand our understanding of the subconscious mind. Even at the core of their functioning, computers in our brains use the same algorithm. Remember that word, algorithm, which is basically input plus processing equals output. But although these two devices run off the same algorithm, they use it in different ways. When we pull up an online search engine, for example, Google, and type a question or a topic into the search bar, you're providing the computer with its input variable. From there, the search engine begins processing chase by scanning its vast database and using keywords, key phrases, or tags, also known as search engine optimization, to locate the most pro- palatable information. For the output of the search engine will gather all this relatable data and return it back to you in what is known as the search result. This is how an engine will gather all this relatable data and return it back to you for what is known as a search result. This is also how Google uses algorithm of input plus processing equals output to provide us with such an amazing tool. For example, our mind uses the same algorithm, but in a different way, and not such a simple way. The input variable of our equation and of our subconscious mind comes from our surrounding environment or external stimulus. Our five senses contain sensory glands that become stimulated by our environment and that spark the initiation of this algorithm within our mind. From there, just as a Google processes its vast database seeking information, it corresponds to what has been entered in the search bar, and we take this continuous input and refer it to our own vast database, known as the subconscious mind, to find the most appropriate way to respond to our input and the most appropriate or most efficient way to react. When the most familiar information is found, our subconscious mind returns the information and to us in the form of a thought. Just imagine getting a whiff of a certain food, maybe your favorite food, let's say fries or a burger, with an amazing smell, and then you find your stomach growling. This is an example of how the mind uses input plus processing equals output algorithm to create thought and experience of hunger. It becomes obvious right away to our mind that modern day computer technology functions similar ways, but it's not until we examine each variable of this algorithm individually that the real magic is uncovered. One of the biggest differences in the information stored from our subconscious to find information stored by emotional value, how recent the event was, or how important it is to the environment. Here, whether as a computer system searches input by picking up names, tags, and context to provide you with the first one that comes up, the most accessible output and the most relatable one, without any value of the information being considered or preferred, being totally objective and automatic, as it contrasts to how the subconscious subjectively stores information in reference to how emotionally important it is and its emotional value. Input variable. One of the most obvious advantages for the human brain when being compared to computers is our ability to create and receive input on a conscious level. Even when we're using computers to find the answers to questions, we can't comprehend, or we can't process all this information without using our mind. We are still applying our brain to the computer and the input cable of the algorithm. For Google to open its processing case and to come up with any answers, us humans must provide it with the input variable of its equation, which is when we type something into the search bar. Until then, Google's enormously vast database is completely useless. While our enormously vast database, or our subconscious mind, would also be completely useless without our ability to consciously activate it through sensory stimulus, our conscious mind. What what good is our subconscious mind without a conscious experience to respond to? What good is Google without an active user searching its database? What good is a horse without a rider? Our horse, being our subconscious mind, always has a rider, which is our conscious mind. Google's horse, on the other hand, being its database, has no continuous rider. Processing variable. As we type our search inquiry into the search bar, Google uses things like tags and keywords to track down only the most relatable information and the most accessible information. The use of these keywords and phrases is known as a search engine optimization. For example, if you go to Google and search on the mind or on the subconscious, my episode will pop up immediately in the results. From your search phrase, the algorithm assumes you want to know more about the subconscious or the mind. By locating the name of my episode and the podcast about the keywords mind all over my content, in the titles, throughout my videos, in the podcast description. Spotify and YouTube's algorithms assumes it knows a lot about the information about the mind. Well, in the same way that Google uses these keywords and tags to categorize information, our brain uses things such as thought patterns and triggers to do the same. Just imagine a person in your life that caused you to think a lot of negative thoughts. Most of the time you are around this person, they do something that sends a bad state of mind to you. Or when you're around them, even if they don't do anything to inflict the state of mind on you, your mind still goes to that negative place when they're present. Just as Google has paired my episode with the keyword mind, your subconscious mind has paired the person with the negative connotation and the negative thought patterns. And just as I can use mind person, hashtag mind, and have YouTube's algorithm show my content when someone searches for the mind, the thought of this person triggers the negative state of mind within you. The algorithm of your mind has deemed this negative response to the correct output when this person is the input. The output variable for computers of the research results and the other output variables in the mind is what we call a thought or idea. If we use the same example of a specific person triggering you and a negative thought pattern in your conscious mind, we could say that the sight or the thought of that person is the input. Your negative thought pattern and response being triggered is the process, and the negative thoughts themselves are the output. The real advantage of our mind is highlighted in this variable of the algorithm. You see, when a computer gives us an output in the form of a result, it's tracking down the information that already exists, not creating anything new. This results to return us in the form of pre-existing data. Our minds, on the other hand, can create new ideas and can generate new ideas. When the mind gives us an output, the output is not limited by the information that already exists in the subconscious. Unlike computers, our mind is capable of mixing and matching this data in ways we don't quite understand, and in ways that are not even that ways that are connected to the universe to generate new ideas. As an extension of the human mind, computers allow us to organize and sift through data like never before, and they're an extremely powerful force. But the true power in our mind is found in the ability to generate new ideas. This intelligence and the computer, this intelligence is what the computer lacks, and the computer lacks this ability of intelligence. This intelligence to create new outputs out of nowhere or out of connections to the universe means that our subconscious brain is interlinked with a source of creative or a source of creativity or a source for innovation. Innovation and creativity is the source and sourced by the universe. There's a clear and straight pathway and a clear and straight connection from the subconscious mind to the universe that is visible to many people, but trust me, it's real because we have the ability to create, and the universe is the creation of everything. That we that means that we are the children of creation. And this means that we have a maternal connection to the universe. And if we unlock our subconscious, we can unlock the creations and the hidden creations and secrets, input or output information of the universe as a one-way ticket to create to the universe. Think about it. Even the idea of the computer itself spawned in the human mind. What I'm trying to say is the subconscious has a direct communicative pathway, sending out signals and quantum waves to collect subconscious, which determines how we see and perceive life, which is the thing that determines what we attract and experience of life. And this is the basis of the law of attraction, which we will later talk about later. From the time we are born until the time we're about the age of 7, the subconscious mind is reigning, being programmed to live in the world based on and influenced by factors such as environment. The people we are surrounded by and the people we are around, such as our family and the emotions and the environmental factors, cause us to experience over time. Our subconscious becomes a storehouse for these experiences or learned behaviors, like the skills and beliefs to form what we call a memory. It is a knowledge base that in home to everything we know. But we have to become aware of this knowledge before we can store it in our memory. And we do that with our subconscious mind. All of these experiences we have lived through consciously with our conscious mind and being stored in the subconscious, and anytime we need to access or reference information, we use the subconscious mind. Here's another way to look at it. Your subconscious mind is like a book of you. Everything you have ever experienced, along with the thoughts and emotions that come with those experiences, have been written down in this book. The book by itself is stagnant. Without the thinking aspects of rewards to actively flip through the book and realize the amount of information it has in it, the book has no use. What is the book without a reader? Our conscious is the part of our brain that outputs all this information to use and to use it to coming into play. Your conscious mind is the author and the reader of these books, and the one who becomes aware of the experiences and stores the information learned from them inside of the book. It is also the one who has referenced the information that's already inside you to respond to these experiences. And that is a difference. It's actively the actively thinking part of your mind. That is the conscious. While the subconscious is the storehouse for the information that gives rise to thought. The subconscious is like the research of the conscious, and the conscious is like a debater. The subconscious is the research and the conscious is the debater. Or in other words, the conscious mind is the thinker and the subconscious mind is the information that gives rise to thought. Without the conscious mind, you are to think these thoughts. The information stored in your subconscious mind is meaningless. And without your subconscious mind, there is no information, or there is no room to store this information. There are no thoughts for the conscious mind to think. Without the subconscious, there is no way to store them. and there is only the conscious mind to be aware in the moment and not to take anything away from it. When we're younger, we're much more active with our conscious mind as we try to fill up the memory space in our subconscious. But as we get older, we tend to heavily rely on the subconscious program to operate in our daily lives. For example, when you learn to ride a bicycle for the first time, your subconscious mind is extremely engaged in the activity because you're learning how to do this. But now, when you hop on a bike, and now when you do so, you do it with very little thought required. This is because you've learned how to ride it the first time. The information was acquired in the subconscious so that you don't have to relearn to ride a bike every time you get on one. Your conscious mind was responsible for learning this behavior of skills, and your conscious mind was responsible for storing that information, freezing that learned knowledge. You have been subconsciously programmed to ride a bike, and you know how to operate on that program when you ride one. By operating on that program, you free up your conscious mind to focus on new skills, and so that you're able to practice it without any mental effort or any trouble for next time. This means that if you want to program a skill or a new lifestyle, you'll have to target the subconscious. If you want to change your life program and target your subconscious, and in this episode, I'll further explore why and the steps you need to take to program your subconscious. The subconscious and the conscious mind are separate aspects of the brain, but they work together. These two powerful forces together are specifically the amount of information that can store our subconscious mind and make us humans such a powerful and advanced species. Let me give you an example of subjectivity and objectivity, and an example of how the brain augments and changes reality. Robert and Samantha are smiling ear to ear as they turn on 6th Avenue, which is home to their favorite ice cream shop. After 3 months of studying abroad, and as they could think, this ice cream shop was all they could think about on the flight home. As they race into the shop, they come in front in the door with a big sign on the door that reads, "We're all out of flavors beside chocolate and strawberry. Sorry for the inconvenience." Robert grunts and puts his hands together as he whispers, "Thank you, God. This is the best day of my life." Samantha, on the other hand, drops to her knees and starts banging her fist on the tile floor. "No, no, there's no way! This is the worst day of my life!" So, how is it that Robert and Samantha can have completely radical, different interpretations of the exact same experience? To understand how the subconscious mind creates reality, we'll need to understand the subjective experience. That's because the subjective experience is a reality. It's the way you view everything. It's created by your subconscious mind. Samantha and Robert have different preferences of ice cream, and this information exists and is stored in their subconscious mind. And when the objective reality is filtered through this subconscious mind and filtered through this information, it creates a subjective experience, or that is known to them as reality. Our subjective experience of the world is the picture we paint of the objective world in terms of how it relates to us. Since the shop had Robert's favorite ice cream, he experiences happiness. Since the shop was out of Samantha's favorite ice cream, she experienced sadness. To better understand the subjective experience, or how the reality is changed or created by our subconscious mind, let's take a look at how the mind creates problems that often don't exist. Imagine you and your friends are going on a golfing trip this upcoming weekend. You're all pumped up for this Friday evening as you go to check the weather and make sure that the forecast hasn't changed since you made the plan on Tuesday. Scattered under storms with an 80% of chance of rain, reads the weekend forecast. You call your buddy up and say, "Hey, we have got a problem." And then your friend calls your other friend and says, "Hey, we've got a serious problem." Burnt out and worried whether it'll rain too hard for you to play golf, you and your friends go to sleep with a problem. To your surprise, you wake up to beautiful sunny skies. You and your friends aren't touched by a single drop of rain. So even though there was no objective problem, you guys subjectively created one in your own minds by worrying. The problem didn't exist objectively, but it existed to you subjectively. Or, in other words, you and your friends created a subjective problem inside your subconscious mind that didn't necessarily exist objectively. There's an objective version of reality, and that objective reality runs through and filters through your subconscious mind to create a subjective version of it, or the subconscious mind creates the reality of the world that constructs your version of the world, and it bases on how it relates to us to create what is known as the subjective experience. Now, the way that the world can also be taken advantage of. Since you can subjectively view reality positively, and even though the positivity is not there objectively, the way you act and the way you act as if something positive that you want in your life is really there. That allows you to mold your life for it to exist subjectively. And the way you view your life will attract an objective reality because how you see life is exactly how it will be due to the law of attraction. You are attracting a certain reality by working hard for it and acting as if it is already there. So, objectively, it's attracted and brought into your life. Okay, listen to me. I know this might sound completely crazy, but Albert Einstein used the subconscious. Albert Einstein studied how the subconscious worked and he used it to his advantage to connect with the universe. So now we'll be talking about Albert Einstein's way of connecting to the universe to the subconscious. In the letter, Einstein mentions something very interesting in this letter that he wrote. I'm very pleased that you find joy with the piano. This and carpentry are, in my opinion, for your age, the best pursuits. Even better than school. Mainly play the things on piano which please if you even the teacher does not assign those. That is the way to learn the most. When you're doing something with such joy and such enjoyment that you don't notice that the time passes. What Albert Einstein is referring to is the flow state. Celebrated psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I'm so sorry for pronouncing that wrong, popularized this concept of flow, which means the mental state highly conducive to productivity. Flow is the optimal state of the mind when the concept of time dissolves and when we become one with whatever is in front of us and in an enjoyable state of our egos disappear and we forget who we are. Flow flow is the great Kobe Bryant's taking the game winning shot in the last 3 seconds. Flow is Tony Hawk doing the first 900 in 1999. Flow is Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. You might have experienced this heightened state of concentration while being able to play video games or your favorite sport. Remember that Einstein told his son, play the things on the piano which please if you even if the teacher doesn't assign those. Play the things you please. Einstein was known to skip many classes, famously studying Maxwell's equation in his own time. His professor's lectures, according to him, were 50 years out of date. The key to success, which Einstein shared with his son, is to find an application of a problem that interests you so you can stay motivated to practice. The reason many of us were not interested in school is because what we learned was not fun. There's no application to us. Trigonometry and projectile motion was the only fun to me when I was in grade 10 physics and the teacher allowed us to build medieval weapons. The group which could project a ball the furthest would be the winner. A couple of friends and I built a ballista. This was the only time physics was ever fun. Our interest in winning led us to gain a firm understanding of the concept, some something that would have never happened if we've had our nose stuck in a notebook. If we can make something fun, it becomes easier to commit to the process of mastery. It's only through the enjoyment of an activity for its own sake that we can enter flow. Albert Einstein's subconscious mind strategy used relaxation. We're often bombarded by messages telling us that we're not successful because we don't work hard enough. Entrepreneurs such as Gary Vaynerchuk or Elon Musk preach the importance of grinding it out and disregarding sleep. Although this sounds good in theory, in practice it can lead to a range of negative and health effects. Fatigue and stress create a chemical cocktail in our bodies which poison us slowly, turning us into dust. Einstein did not channel his genuine and his geniusness by working more hours than other scientists. He did not grind it out. Albert Einstein's subconscious mind rituals involved deep relaxation. He was known to sleep on an average of 10 hours a day. Every day, he would go on a long walk, a habit shared with other great minds such as Charles Darwin, Beethoven, Freud, Aristotle, and Steve Jobs. Einstein even played the violin for several hours, stating, "I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music." A quote by Albert Einstein. What Einstein practiced was a form of periodization, fluctuating from periods of highly focused deep work and more relaxing and enjoyable pursuits. Periodization is a crucial element of Albert Einstein's subconscious mind strategy. Periodization is also well known as the strength and conditioning world, where if one's wanted to get stronger at a lift such as the bench press, they would rotate their workouts to a high intensity, often heavy weights with low reps, and more moderate and easier to manage workouts. Going too hard for too long can lead the body to experience overtraining syndrome, where it's weaker and can lead to sickness. The mind, just like the body, needs its downtime to work effectively. Scientists have shown that when we rest, our brain operates very differently. They switch from what is called the task positive network to the default mode network. Our mind works differently when the default mode network is activated, leading to a different level of thinking. Einstein mentioned was the solution to problems. This default mode network is the reason why many of us get our best ideas while in the shower or while lying in our beds before we sleep. We must treat our minds like a muscle, because it is one. After strenuous conscious work, we must allow our more intuitive subconscious mind to take care of the rest. We can do this by long walks slowly, meditating, yoga, and even lying in our beds doing nothing can be effective. Imagination was needed for Albert Einstein's subconscious mind. Einstein was well known in his G-Dankin experiment, also known as the thoughts of experiment. Since he was a boy, he would use his imagination to envision situations that could not be observed naturally. His subconscious mind helped deliver answers through the experiments and throughout the experiments. Answers which filled the gaps of his many theories. This creative imagination gave him an advantage over the scientists who relied primarily on logic and classical education. Our imagination is a powerful thing. Before anything can be created in the physical world, it first takes a form as a vision in the mind. The Burj Khalifa first took form in architect Adrian Smith's mind. The iPhone smartphone, which revolutionized the world, first formed in Steve Jobs' mind. The concept of Harry Potter, which would later make J.K. Rowling the first billionaire author, was crafted on a 4-hour train ride. A ride in which she had no pen to write down her ideas, leaving her mind to wander. The art of visualization is a superpower, often regarded as a hobby for hippies by society. It's not something that is taught in school, and yet it's the hallmark of genius. Have you ever been immersed in a dream that seemed too real? You likely were in awe of how your mind could create buildings and elaborate structures, and how you could run into people's faces and personalities you've never seen before in the real world. Dreams are thought to be the domain of the subconscious, the same things which allow you to hold a deep conversation whilst driving without crashing into a tree. The mind that allows this baseball star to save this reporter's life. This mind you will be accessing whilst daydreaming and visualization. To get good, you will need to practice visualization. It's a skill much like bike riding or riding a bike. At first, you might only be able to hold a hazy image of a 2D shape in your mind, but with time, you'll be able to construct kingdoms. This is the key to great discoveries, being able to withdraw within before manifesting what you want in the physical world. This was the last secret of the huge Albert Einstein's subconscious mind strategy. Do this, and I promise you, you'll be one step closer to living and dying well. Moving on to the law of attraction segment. The laws of attraction. How does the law of attraction operate? In essence, your experiences are a manifestation of the energies in your ideas. Positive experiences therefore result from positive thinking, and vice versa. Advocates assert that the law of attraction is composed of the following fundamental universal principles. According to the law, like attracts like. Comparable things are drawn to one another. It implies that people tend to draw similar people to themselves, but it also implies that people's ideas tend to draw similar outcomes. Positive thinking is thought to generate desirable experiences, while negative thinking is thought to attract undesirable events. A vacuum is hated by nature. According to the laws of attraction, clearing out the bad things in life might allow room for the better things to enter. It's based on the notion that it is impossible to have a completely empty space in your mind and your life, since something will always fill this space up. It's important to fill that space with positivity. Proponents of this philosophy say the present is always perfect. This law focuses on the law that there is always something that you can do to improve the present moment. While it might always seem like the present is somehow flawed, this law proposed that rather than feeling dread or unhappiness, you should focus on the energy on finding ways to make the present moment the best that it can be. How to use the law of attraction. So, how do you get started with the law of attraction? According to this philosophy, you create your own reality. What you focus on is what you draw into your life. It suggests that what you believe will happen in your life is what does happen. Some things that you can do to incorporate the law of action in your life include be grateful, visualize your goals, look out for the positive in a situation, learning how to identify negative thinking, use positive affirmations, and reframe negative events in a more positive way. While the law of attraction may not be an immediate solution for all of life's challenges, it can help you learn to cultivate a more optimistic outlook on life. It may also help you stay motivated to continue working towards your goals. Relationships. You can use some elements of the law of attractions to work towards your relationship goals. One way to do this is to become aware more of the things that may be holding you back when it comes to allowing love in your life. If you notice that issues of a fear of vulnerability keep you from forging strong romantic connections, you can start taking steps to overcome those fears, approaching your relationships with positivity that may help healthier relationships. Now, in terms of work, the law of attraction can also be useful for achieving your professional goals. While people sometimes mistakenly believe that simply thinking positively about your career aspirations will manifest positive changes, the key is to use long-term goals to make specific, concrete changes in the present that will help you take steps towards your goal. For example, simply hoping for higher pay isn't enough. Taking action, such as acquiring marketable skills, seeking promotions, or even pursuing a new position, are steps you can take that will pay off in the future. And thinking that you can do it and working towards it through a positive mindset is what allows you and that will make it pay off in the future. According to the law of attraction, focusing on your energy in positive ways will bring positive changes into your life and into the future. Now, in the case of money, manifesting financial changes in your life requires small steps and action and steady progress. Instead of simply wishing for more, it's important to access your financial life and to set goals for what you want to achieve both now and the future. The law of attraction encourages people to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Instead of focusing on what you lack, practice feeling gratitude on what you have. In doing so, you'll be prepared as you work towards your financial goals and take advantage of the opportunities presented. How the positive affirmations impact the law of attraction. While the law of attraction lacks scientific support, proponents suggest that it can produce positive changes in a person's life. Some reasons why people may experience benefit from this philosophy include spiritual effects. The law of attraction may produce results that because it taps into people's spirituality. Spirituality itself is connected to a variety of health benefits, including reduced stress, better health, lower depression, and better overall well being. Many people believe this philosophy works by aligning God or the universe with our wishes. This notion suggests that people are all made of energy, and this energy operates on different frequencies because this is the important to change the frequency of energy with positive thoughts, especially gratitude for what we already have. By using grateful, positive thoughts and feelings, and by focusing on our dreams rather than our frustrations, we can change the frequency of our energy, and the law of attraction brings positive things into our life. We'll attract what depends where and how we focus our attention. We must believe that it's already ours or soon to be. Better well being. Utilizing the law of attraction may also bring about positive impacts on the mental health and mental well being by focusing on attaining a new reality and by believing it's possible. We tend to take more risks, notice more opportunities, and open ourselves more to new possibilities. Conversely, when we don't believe that something is in the realm of our possibilities for us, we tend to let opportunities pass by unnoticed. When we believe that we don't deserve good things, we behave in ways that sabotage our chances of happiness. By changing our self-talk and feelings about life, we reverse the negative patterns in our lives and create more positive, productive, and healthy ones. That one good thing leads to another, and the direction of life can shift from downward spiral to an upwards ascent. Research on optimism shows that optimisms enjoy better health, greater happiness, and more success in life. They possess traits that allow them to focus their thoughts and their success and mentality, maximizing their failures. One of the foundations of many types of therapy is changing your self talk, changing your life in a positive direction. Cognitive to behavioral therapy, CBT, is a widely used and effective treatment in many conditions. It's based on the idea that identifying and changing automatic negative thoughts can produce positive effects and help people achieve better mental health. This CBT, a widely used effective treatment for many conditions, is based on the idea that identifying and changing automatic negative thoughts can produce a positive effect and help people achieve better mental well being. Tips for practicing the law of attraction. There are some exercises that can help you and to learn the law of attraction and put it into practice in your own life. Some of these ideas include journaling, writing down your thoughts that can help you better learn and recognize your habitual thought patterns to see whether you tend towards optimism or pessimism, and learn about more challenging and negative patterns of thought. Make a mood board. Create a visual reminder that helps you maintain a positive mindset, stay motivated, and to focus on your goals. Practice acceptance. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with the present or what needs to be changed, work on accessing things as the way they already are. This doesn't mean that you won't continue to work towards a better future. It just means that you won't get bogged down by wishing for things to be different right now. Practice a positive foundation of self-talk. If you struggle with being overly critical, set a goal to engage in positive self-talk each day. Over time, this may become much more easy for you to find that it is harder to maintain a negative mindset. Find out counter arguments. For example, I'm so mad at this. A counter argument would be I'm gonna get good or I'm gonna do better. Thank you so much for listening to one of the episodes of Inside the Mind's archive. You can find more episodes like this in the descriptions down below. And I hope you enjoyed it. Listen to the next episode to know more about meditation and embark meditation with me. Anyways, this is your host, Layla Zakal, signing off.